Hey guys, it's Poppy here with Poppy's Farm. I'm coming to you today with a really weird one. You see this area behind me? This is caused because we fed hay during the winter, and during the winter, when you feed hay like this, there'll be excess hay on the top of the ground, and it pretty well, because of the heavy hoof traffic and stuff, it pretty well kills all the vegetation out. And once it kills all the vegetation out, then this is a loss in pasture. And gradually, throughout the season of winter, we put a different piece of a different roll of hay out in a different spot, so that they're not standing in mud, and just try to keep it as clean as we can. Well, the downfall is you end up with these kind of spots like this. Now they'll be hard packed. So you can't just put grass seed straight on them. They're hard packed, and they also have a heavy layer of hay usually on them. So you need to work the hay into the ground. It's a great compost, and it'll give your grass a great head start here in just a little bit. But now I do a little something different. So we do put orchard and Timothy grass down, because both of those are great protein sources. With a little bit of alfalfa, but our alfalfa don't stay but a few years. It'll gradually weed out pretty quick. The other, as long as you let it go to seed, it does really well. So I took and I was at Rural King, and I ran across seed that was it was sowing seed to grow big horns on deer. Well, that got me curious. I said, well, let me read on this. So I was reading about it, and it had peas and radishes and turnips and several different kinds of oats and rye and grains. I was thinking, well, that don't sound too awful bad. I'm not understanding why we don't use it. So I'm not really terribly sure why that people don't use it. I know for my personal feelings, it's really it really helps a lot with the protein and stuff, and like the daikon radishes and stuff that's in it. They give the pigs something to do about finding a radish. They'll dig one up, root it up, and it gives them something to do. And this is kind of what that grass seed will look like. It's a little different. See, it's got radishes and peas and all kinds of stuff. Here's what I learned. So this is a new one on me. So just because you have grass, and I understand that grass is grass, but just because you're feeding your animal or livestock, pasture, doesn't mean that pasture has any sustainable nutrients. And I know that our bigger farmers, they use a nutrient scope, or there's a lot of different things out there, products that they'll let you see what protein rate hay and silage and a bunch of stuff is. But as a small farmer, there's not that product out there that tells you instantly, unless you bought it as a brought-on feed that says 12%. I don't have a pasture that has a tagline that says it's at 12%. Well, as time went on, I have tested the bulk of my pastures. All of my pastures average about 4.5 to 5% protein, you guys, at the best. That's green. That's while it's still standing. Once it's cut, I would estimate, based upon normal standards, it might even be just 1.5 to 2% protein. So then all it's really serving purpose of is roughage. It has no protein ratio at all really to sustain it. So switching to these, you'll push about 18 to 20% protein out of that same area. And the reason being is because everything is a protein-packed broadleafed plant, and those plants are desired by your animals, from your geese, your chickens, your pigs, your goats. They all love them. And so what I do is on these areas like this, because I already know they love the stuff so good they almost eat it down to the root. But But because it's all brassica and stuff that will do really well in cool weather, my normal grass is a little bit slow during the winter. Most people's probably is, but things like winter wheat and stuff, it kicks in gear in the cooler weather. And so that means that they really have something good to munch on during that cool weather. So I always try to sow it right about this time of the year. We're in Kentucky, but we try to sow it about September. And it really makes a big difference in your winter and your animals. Most of all that stuff will take a pretty good frost and freezes and stuff and do really well. I've been very impressed with it. Of course, we still have the staples of, you know, like your Timothy and orchard grass mixes and stuff like that. Those are a staple, and it's really, you really don't understand until you start doing it. If you'll take in every one of those bare spots in your field, if you'll work them, it turns out to just keep giving you more and more pasture. And I know it's common sense. You know, when you speak it out loud, you're like, well, duh, I know that. But for some reason, we forget it whenever we're looking at the pasture. You look at, well, that's a bare spot there and a bare spot there. Look around. How many bare spots do you have, and how many of those bare spots are causing thinned grass throughout your pasture? And of course, thinned grass just means that they're going to over pasture it soon. So it's, you know, our job as farmers. This was something that I got off of another YouTube channel, and I think that he does a great job. It's just a few acres. And he says that, you know, we are grass farmers. Well, that's exactly right. We need to take that moment to think about this. You know, we're not growing animals per se until we can learn to grow the grass that feeds these animals correctly and have nice pastures, full, lush grass without weeds and everything in it. That's what we're working for. That's the goal. And then that's what produces that wonderful, wonderful fields that keep your animals wonderful, fat, and happy. So if you guys have any questions about this, just feel free to ask. Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you guys out there.